Starting with number 10, we got the Indiana Pacers. They made a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They bring back pretty much the same exact team they had last year. I have them at number 10 because let's just be honest, they wouldn't have got past the Bucks if the Bucks were completely healthy, but they wouldn't have got past the Knicks. And I will die on that hill if the Knicks were completely healthy. They're a team that I don't like saying lucked into the Eastern Conference Finals because you play who you play. You can't help what you play. You still got to win those games. So at the end of the day, shout out to them for making the Eastern Conference Finals. But if we're being real right now, everyone healthy with the moves that other teams have made, I think they're good at number 10. Kwab, any additional thoughts to that?
But when he says that they wouldn't get past the Knicks, there's no bias, people. Trust me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's just saying that, yeah.
Come on, let's be honest, bro. Like, can we stop? Like, can we be honest, Pacer fans? If you're like, let's be honest.
Look, I'm not here to pick sides. I like the Pacers at 10.
Being honest, the Pacers were going to beat the Knicks in the playoffs last year if the Knicks were healthy. Are you kidding me?
But they did. So
they did, and they deserve credit for doing so. But like, we're talking about this season going forward, and the Knicks have revamped their roster. They're a better team than the Pacers. Let's move on to number 9 before I get too upset about this.
I
don't care. I don't care about your opinion, Kwab. You wanted the Pacers off the list. I put them on for Pacer fans. They wouldn't even be on this list if it wasn't for me. Number 9 is Kwab's Pheonix Suns. Kwab, why are the Suns on this list? I didn't want them on the list.
Yeah, Josh didn't want the Suns on the list. I feel like the Suns should be on the list. They become like severely underrated, which is kind of crazy. They're like basically they're the Trae Young of the NBA now, where they put up the numbers, but people are just look at them and be like, no, they're not going to do anything. They still have 3 of the top players in the league. They made moves in the offseason. They added, everybody said they needed point guards. They need point guards. They added 2 guards to help the team. I think they will probably be one of the better team in the West. Then again, they'll probably prove me wrong. So we'll see how that goes.
I mean, I haven't been out on the Suns since the KD trade. I was pretty high on them. Even last year, I was like, guys, listen, they weren't healthy last year. We don't know if they are completely healthy. They really played together healthy last year. So I understand that if you're a Suns fan looking at it from that perspective, like, hey, you can say whatever you want about us, but at the end of the day, we weren't all healthy at the same time for a majority of the year last year. Now they have a point guard, 2 point guards, as you mentioned, because I love Monte Morris. He's one of my favorite players in the league.
Facts.
First team all time. I fucks with you. So I get the logic there, Kwab. I'm not saying I don't get the logic. I just have to see it. I think spending all of last year, I know there was a lot of injuries, but I just have to see it before I put him into the countdown. I don't think they suck. I'm not down on them. I just don't want to anoint them as one of the top teams in the league just yet.
Fair. That's fair.
All right, so we move on to number 8. We got the Milwaukee Bucks. This is assuming that you have a healthy Chris Middleton, Damian Lillard, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I like their offseason moves, including, putting Darvin Ham on the bench next to Doc Rivers.
Bringing Taurean Prince his
No, I like the Taurean Prince move. I do.
Yeah.
I do. And also the Gary Trent Jr. move, I think, is a bigger move than people think it is. So for me, I'm comfortable with the Bucks here at 8. Your thoughts?
I'll say I agree with you on that. You know what I mean? Also, they still got Doc Rivers, and we all know how we all feel about Doc. So, they should be better this year, having a full off season with Dame and Giannis trying to figure it out. So I think they'll be a better team than they were last year.
All right. Moving on to number 7, we got the Philadelphia 76ers. Starting off the year pretty much already on the IR. But
the IR, team IR.
But you know what? I like the Sixers, man. If they didn't play the Knicks in the playoffs last year, I wouldn't have like this desire to hate them. I like Embiid as a player. I love Tyrese Maxey. I think Paul George fits the team perfectly. I think, bringing back Oubre and adding like Caleb Martin and the players that they added, like brings some sort of toughness to the team that I'm not saying they didn't have it last year, but they didn't have enough of it to beat a team like the Knicks. I do think they're a better team than they were last year. Just got to stay healthy, and hopefully Andre Drummond can do well when Embiid's sitting on the back-to-backs and maybe even more games for whatever injury he might have. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this team would probably be way higher on the list if again, everybody wasn't getting injured. They probably would have them like 3 or 4 or something. But again, the injuries hit, so we just have to see how it looks going into the season. But like you said, I like the moves they made. We just have to see it moving forward.
All right, coming in at number 6 is the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think they would have been higher if it wasn't for the trade. Not that I don't like Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo with the Wolves, because I do think they're going to be better than a lot of people think. I think it might take some time, but I do think the addition of Rob Dillingham is going to help tremendously. I think they're going to try to play faster. I think there might be a little bit bumps and a learning curve there. I think they're better than a lot of people think they are. They're definitely still contenders. So a lot of people had him out of their contenders list because of this trade. I don't think that's the case. Anthony Edwards is probably going to get better. He hasn't even hit his prime yet. So to me, this is a comfortable spot that I have for the Wolves because I'm not ready to say they're better than these other teams that we're about to mention. And I still think they're contenders this year. What do you think, Kwab?
I agree. I agree with all that. I think the trade kind of threw everybody in like a weird flux. We were like, "Yo, what is this? Do they fit?" But like watching some of the preseason games, they still look good. DiVincenzo has fit perfectly with the squad. Like they added shooting, actually allows them to bring like the rookies like Rob Dillingham slowly in comparison to what they were gonna do. So I
Yeah.
think they're gonna be one of the better teams in the West moving forward.
All right, in at number 5, we have the Dallas Mavericks. They were an NBA finalist last year. I do think the Mavs are better than I thought they were last year. I do like the addition of Klay Thompson. I love the addition of Quentin Grimes. Um, I do think the Mavs are a little better this year than they were last year. I do think that they weren't lucky to make the finals, but I do think it was very matchup based. I think they played teams that they matched up well against. I think if they would have faced the Nuggets, they probably wouldn't have made it, but they did, and shout out to them. I think the Luka Kyrie backcourt is dope. I think it can continue to be dope, and I have high expectations for Luka, as you will see in another segment of ours. So right now, I'm comfortable with 5 just because I just trust the other teams more, even though one of the teams is a team they beat in the playoffs. I think they've got substantially better in the offseason, and that's why I'm putting them over the Mavs. But right now, I'm comfortable with the Mavs as 5. Definitely contenders to win the Western Conference. Definitely contenders to win it all.
Yeah, we're all interested to see how the Clay fit is gonna look moving forward when the season starts and everybody's healthy because that's a big move. But they still have the pieces they had from when they made the trade last year, which kind of propelled them into your win streak. So we interested to see how everything looks after a full off season and then through the course of the season if Luka is healthy and Kyrie and Clay. So yeah, I'm comfortable where they're at right now.
All right, coming in at number 4, we do have the Denver Nuggets. I know the Nuggets, it seems like there's a chink in their armor that's slowly coming off every year. Started last year, maybe now this year, they may not be the same. Quab and I fought about this. I had the Nuggets higher than this. Let's just say that.
I
Quab
had
had
them
them
I had them
lower than
lower.
this.
I had them
So
lower
this
than
was the
this.
compromise here at number 4. I still think when you had the best player in the NBA, I know you don't have KCP anymore, and that starting 5 may not gel as much, and you're asking younger players to step up. But I still believe in Jokic. I still believe in Murray. Michael Porter Jr. is one of the best role players in the league. I think they'll figure it out. And at the end of the day, you don't have a team like the T-Wolves who can just throw in size and the Twin Towers in the middle of the paint um, to beat you in 7 games. So Nuggets are my pick to win the West, actually. I don't know if I'm spoiling
Ooh,
anything, but
ooh, wow.
right now, I like the Nuggets. I like them more than we have them at 4, but we compromised here. Quad, why aren't you as high as I am on the Nuggets?
Yeah, I had the Nuggets lower than Josh. Honestly. Yes, I know they have Jokic, they 3-time MVP. But it feels like this season they come in with a lot more question marks than they had previous seasons. Losing KCP is going to be big. Now they're relying more on like their younger players, which is always could always be problematic if they don't step up to the plate and be effective. They added Russell Westbrook, and they're going to go through the Russell Westbrook experience, which is the give and take of that. Um, their coach was calling them fat all preseason, which is crazy. He's like, "Oh, you're out of shape." So I don't know. They just have they have a lot of question marks. Just they'll probably end up being one of the better teams in the West, just because, like you
Yeah.
said, they have Jokic. He is arguably the best player in the league. So they'll probably be fine. But right now, I just have them lower until I see how they look as the season progresses.
All right, coming in at number 3, it's your New York Knicks. Now, I didn't have him at 3, just for the record. So if anybody's in the comment section like, oh, Knicks is too high for 3, I didn't have him at 3. There
We
was a
had him at
compromise.
1, guys.
I didn't have I didn't have him at 1. I
We
had
had
him
him
at
1.
4 for
We
complete
had him at 4.
transparency. Listen, my hesitation with the Knicks, obviously, I think they have the second best roster in the East. I don't think that's debatable. I think you can make a case that they have the best roster in the East. I know Celtics fans will hear that and go, "Oh, what do you mean?" But I think the talent and with everything there, I think you can argue that. I think you can debate it. Maybe the Celtics have more chemistry and more cohesive and are a better team, but just talent wise, top 5, 6, maybe 7. I think the Knicks are right there with them. But I don't think it's debatable that they're number 2. I think they're the second best team in the East as of now. I'm anxious to see how Cat, fits in with everything, and if they keep that identity of crashing the glass and getting offensive boards and being tougher than everybody else, because that's the one thing that scares me with the team. Also, Mikal Bridges' shot looks, I don't know what happened to it.
I was going to ask
Um,
you about that. I was going to ask you how you
that's
feel
that's
about
kind of
that
concerning to
controversy.
me. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know why he was always a good shooter. It's like, why are you changing it? It's not like, you were shooting 20 something percent from three. So we'll see. I don't know. But right now we have him at three. Quab, your thoughts on the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, three is fine. I feel like you said, they should not probably they should be the second best team in the East. They've made a lot of win now moves, which should benefit them. Like everybody talks about the championship windows. Your window's always not that big, so if you have a chance, go for it. And they definitely went
Yeah.
for it this offseason. The Mikal stuff is kind of again, it's weird. I don't know why the shot changed, but hey, like as a Nets fan, you I'm cool with the 4 picks we got for that. So I mean, part honestly, I should be like praying for y'all downfall, but I don't really like. I have too many friends that are Knicks fans, so
You're
like
a good man. You're a good
yeah,
man.
I hope you guys have a great season. But yeah, yeah, like you said, trying to want to see how it looks like with Cat. Do they keep the same identity, especially after like how many players like losing Hardenstein and then Mitch Rob being out? You wonder how it's going to look size wise. And also, I just saw that Precious got injured. He's
Yeah,
going
he
to be
did.
out for a couple of weeks with a
Yeah.
hamstring injury. So yeah, yeah, there's some question marks there, but I think they still should be the second best team in the East.
All right, moving on to number two, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. They were the 1 seed in the West last year. They did lose to the Dallas Mavericks, but I do think the additions of Isaiah Hartenstein, who is hurt, but he'll be okay for the time that matters, and getting Alex Caruso, I think that's huge. I do think that puts them over the top over Dallas. I do think that puts them over the top against Denver. Right now, to me, they have the best roster in the West with someone who I think is going to be the MVP of the league and who's one of the most clutch players in the league. I don't really know where there's a weakness at any of their positions. So to me, the Thunder are scary, man. I think they could win the NBA championship, but right now, I think they're the best team in the West.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even I guess with the Isaiah Hardenstein injury, he's supposed to be out for like I think 4 or 5 weeks or so. Um, I wanted to move him to number one because I saw Shams tweeted out that they signed center forward Alex Reese, who used to be a bartender, and I'm like, oh man, that's I don't know what that means. I don't know why that was relevant information to
Vibe.
put
It's for
that in the.
vibes. It's for
But
vibes
yeah,
on the
I'm
plane,
saying I saw it. I'm like, hey,
on road trips, man,
only
on those long
only
plane rides.
only Presti would pull this off and somehow it'd be effective. So I saw yeah, they, like you said, I agree with that. They should be again a top team, if not the top team in the West. SGA should have another MVP caliber season. So we both agree we have them having them a number two.
All right, number one, we have the Boston Celtics, the NBA champions, pretty much brought back everybody else, but to me, a very well put together team, very good defensively, very good offensively. It's funny because usually when an NBA champion is crowned, that best player gets put in the conversations for like best player in the world. But the Celtics don't really have that. Jason Tatum is one of the best players in the world, but people don't look at him and elevate him to the levels of Jokic or Giannis or Steph Curry, and rightfully so. I don't think he's at that level. But I think that's a compliment to them because it just shows you how good of a team they are and how connected they are and how well they play together. I think Joe Mazzulla has grown as a coach. I still think they're the best team in the East. I still think they're the best team in the league until someone proves otherwise. So shout out to the Celtics going to our power rankings as the number one team. Quab, anything to add to that?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. I think even when we did our Celtics preview, we were kind of so what now? You brought everybody back.
It's like you guys won and changed absolutely nothing. Well,
Three
okay.
nothing. Okay, well, now continuity, like everything it seems too perfect. Like the only issue question mark they have is like if when Kristaps is going to be healthy, and
Right.
they still should be fine with that. They look like they're going to be running. They're going to be running the East again, unless somehow the Knicks come into the picture. But
We'll
that's a
see.
whole other thing. But we'll see. We'll
We'll
see.
see.
We'll see opening night. We'll see opening night.
We'll see.
But yeah, having the Celtics at number one seems right, especially after last season.
Yeah, for sure. All right, those are our power rankings for a preseason. I think next time we do this, I think Quab and I are going to fight live, or
Might, yeah.
we have to. I think
We
that's
have
the
to
only way to
just
do
to
it. And
Yeah.
then if the show gets big enough and we could do it live, we could live stream it with people in the comments. You could fight with us too, and then we just all do it together. That's the goal.
That's the goal. That's definitely the goal. That's definitely the goal.